You saw the title, you know what this is. Arcana Cleric. If you're a closeted wizard, this is the cleric for you. You start with an okay spell list, shout out to Dispel Magic and Magic Missile, and you get proficiency in the Arcana skill and 2 wizard cantrips of your choice. Booming Blade and Firebolt open up some nice damage options, or you've got utility cantrips like Gust, Shape Water, or Minor Illusion. Your Channel Divinity is interesting. You can drop an action to target an elemental, fey, fiend, or celestial within 30 feet, and if they fail a wisdom save, they turn tail and sprint away from you. If they're a low enough CR, they are just straight up banished instead. Now, those creature types aren't uncommon, but a full action cost for a chance at single target removal that only works on some types of enemies isn't particularly powerful. Spellbreaker at 6th level is just bad, though. Whenever you restore hit points to an ally with a spell, you can end one spell effect that is affecting that creature. However, the level of the spell that you end must be equal to or lower than the level of the spell slot you used to perform the healing. Look, I can count on one hand the amount of enemies in this game that actually use lingering debuff spells. 99% of the time, it's not a spell, it's a magical effect, like a dragon's frightful presence. This feature, for most of the game, does nothing. Level 8 clerics all get Blessed Strikes now, to replace potent spellcasting or divine strikes. That means you don't get anything from any cleric subclass between levels 6 and 17, and 17 is when your capstone hits. For us, it's Arcane Mastery. You choose 4 wizard spells, one at 6th, one at 7th, one at 8th, and one at 9th level, and you learn them. This is kind of crazy because wizards have the best spell list in the game, and it includes the spell Wish. This gives you Wish if you want to give your DM a brain aneurysm, or True Polymorph if you want to give them a more subtle slide into depression. Seriously though, getting Wish gives you access to every other spell of 8th level or below in the game, and you get 3 more spells on top. You are probably the single most versatile spellcaster in the game at this level. All in, the Arcana Cleric is good, but your best feature is at level 17. The bonus wizard cantrips are nice, but anyone can grab bonus wizard cantrips now with the Magic Initiate Origin feat, so it's less exciting than it used to be. They can go in high C tier, and that placement should tell you just how good some upcoming subclasses are. Death Cleric. There are a lot of edgy clerics, but Death Clerics get the award for least subtle. Your spell list is almost all murder spells plus false life, and you get martial weapon proficiency. Any cleric can grab that at level 1 now, so it's not as good as it used to be, but even if you're using exclusively 2014 rules, there are other cleric subclasses coming up that get you this, and heavy armor proficiency as well. You also learn 1 necromancy cantrip of your choice, and you can target 2 creatures with it as long as they are standing within 5 feet of each other. You already get access to the highest damaging necromancy cantrip anyway as a cleric, Toll the Dead. But the ability to potentially dome 2 enemies for a total of 8d12 plus 10 damage with only a cantrip is pretty tasty. Your Channel Divinity is fun. Touch of Death lets you deal additional damage equal to 5 plus 2 times your cleric level when you hit a creature with a melee attack. At level 20, that's 45 additional damage on top of your inflict wounds, which isn't bad, but for most of the game, you aren't level 20, and the damage starts very low. An extra 11-ish damage on a single attack isn't really anything to write home about, especially compared to the power of some Channel Divinities that are coming up. Level 6, your spells and features that deal necrotic damage ignore damage resistance. Okay, sure, I guess. Fast forward to the capstone at level 17, and any necromancy spell you throw down from levels 1 to 5 can target 2 creatures, not just 1, as long as they're within 5 feet of each other. There are some spells you can double the damage of here, like Blight and Inflict Wounds, not bad, but it's probably best used for defensive support spells, like Double Revivify or Double False Life. Honestly, it's quite a weak capstone on a pretty weak subclass. I do like the flavor, but there's a lot more powerful clerics we've got coming up. These guys can also go in C tier. Hey bro, you love dragons, right? I love dragging these nuts across your face. Okay, weird clap back. I'd clap your back if you know what I'm saying. Enough, dude, I'm trying to talk about dragons. Ooh,
Ooh, I love dragons. Have you heard of elemental dragons? Oh god, what? Elemental dragons. Oh, tell me more. Elemental Dragons is the brand new Kickstarter collection from Nord Games, introducing hundreds of new dragons, treasures, and adventures to your D&D games. Each of the 4 books acts as a standalone resource, or you can use them all for the ultimate dragon compendium. They've got a bestiary and crafting guide, a campaign setting, a book of quests and lairs, and a treasure hoard book packed with hundreds of elemental-themed magic items, armor, potions, and more. Grab Elemental Dragons today using the link below. That's Elemental Dragons out on Kickstarter, link in description.
Forge Cleric. Now we are cooking. Fantastic spell list, heavy armor proficiency, and you get the iconic Blessing of the Forge. This lets you imbue any armor or weapon with magic, turning it into a +1 object. Between heavy armor, a shield, and this feature, you are starting the game with 23 AC if your GM gives you full plate and you cast Shield of Faith. Your Channel Divinity is an interesting roleplay focused feature, letting you craft a non-magical item made of metal, like a weapon or ammunition, as long as it costs less than 100 gold over the course of an hour. Keys, manacles, grappling hooks, ladders. This is a creativity first feature that's hard to call objectively powerful, but it is very interesting. Level 6, you resist fire damage and get another +1 to your AC while you're in heavy armor. Fire is the 4th most common damage type in D&D, and another boost to AC is greatly appreciated. Level 17 just builds on that foundation, giving you resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage as well, and immunity to fire damage from this point. You can now walk through your own wall of fire spell, grapple enemies and hold them inside, torching them to death while you are just fine. Very metal, very cool. This is a flavor wind subclass that still has some decent power. It still only goes in low A tier because yes, S tier clerics really are that good. Grave Cleric. Edgy Cleric Round 2 gives us a pretty great spell list with a nice mix of damage and support options. Your Circle of Mortality feature lets you do the Life Cleric thing and automatically roll maximum on the healing spells you cast, but only when they target a creature with 0 hit points. Seeing as most clerics don't bother to heal anyone who isn't basically already dead, this is surprisingly good. You can also detect any undead within 60 feet of you a few times per day, which is trash. Flavorful trash, but trash. Your Channel Divinity is anything but trash, however. As an action, you curse a target within 30 feet of you, no saving throw. Then the next time you or an ally hits that target with an attack, that creature has vulnerability to all that attack's damage. Combo this with a smiting paladin or a sneak attacking rogue for ridiculous damage in the early game. This is the single highest cause of DM depression, seeing as you will comfortably one-shot their meticulously crafted final boss. Speaking of giving your DM depression, your 6th level feature guarantees they will never feel a glimmer of excitement ever again. You can use your reaction to negate any critical hit against any creature within 30 feet of you multiple times per day. Sure, it's only going to come up 5% of the time, but preventing a critical hit is often the difference between a TPK and a crushing victory. Your capstone feature is called Keeper of Souls. Whenever an enemy within 30 feet of you dies, you or an ally within 30 feet gain hit points equal to the number of hit dice that enemy had. This doesn't cost a reaction, and you can use it every round. Sure, it's not a huge amount of healing, but hey, it's free. Honestly, Grave Clerics are solid. With a borderline busted damage doubling Channel Divinity, they can sit proudly in A tier. Knowledge Cleric. Nerd Priests get an okay spell list. Command, Suggestion, and Confusion are all good. You also get expertise in 2 skills from this list. Okay, they're not the greatest skills in the game, but more skills are more skills. Your Channel Divinity also grabs you proficiency in any skill or tool for 1 hour, which is pretty decent when you consider that you have guidance and can buff that skill even further. However, there are species that can grab any skill proficiency over a long rest now, like the Astral Elf, and anyone can grab a bunch of skill proficiencies at level 1 with Origin feats. With power creep being what it is, these features don't really pop the way they did back in 2014. At 6th level, you get an interesting spin on domination spells. You can burn a channel divinity to force a creature within 60 feet of you to make a wisdom save. On a fail, you can read their thoughts and cast suggestion on them without expending a spell slot. The creature automatically fails its saving throw when you cast suggestion in this way, but it does end the mind reading effect. Now, suggestion is a really good spell, but it's kind of hard to justify doing this over simply casting suggestion in the first place. Either way, the target has to fail a wisdom save somewhere along the line for anything to happen, so it doesn't really amount to all that much. Level 17 capstone is Visions from the Past, and it's weird. Basically, you spend a minute meditating to gain information about an object or an area. This is amazing as a potential plot device or DM exposition enabler, but it is 100% useless in combat and 100% useless if your DM doesn't play along. All in, knowledge clerics are having a rough time of it. Yes, they can be very good as a single level dip in a 2014 rules-based campaign for a skill monkey build. Standing on their own, they only really shine in very specific, mystery-focused, lore-heavy campaigns. If that's the type of game you're playing in, then awesome, go for it. But if it isn't, they are a long way behind other options in terms of power. Don't get me wrong though, they're not awful, all their abilities do something, they just go at the bottom of C tier. Life Cleric. The most iconic cleric. The Clerics Cleric. Life Clerics start off with a handsome spell list of all the cleric classics, and you get heavy armor proficiency at level 1 in the 2014 version. Then of course you get the famous Disciple of Life feature, adding more healing to your healing spells. Your Channel Divinity lets you use an action to throw down a respectable amount of more healing, divided as you choose among bloody creatures within 30 feet of you. This is a nice way to potentially pick up a bunch of downed allies at once, or maybe get some healing done in a way that can't be counterspelled if you accidentally slept with your DM's wife and they just do things like that now. Level 6 lets you heal yourself when you heal others, which makes you nice and tanky, and level 17 lets you ignore rolling dice at all and just get the maximum on any healing spells you cast. This roughly doubles the effectiveness of all your healing magic and makes you the best white mage archetype in D&D, at least on paper. Life Clerics are simple and solid. You're not doing anything too crazy, but you are the best at what you do. They are the crown of B tier. Hey, by the way, I'm giving over $20,000 worth of amazing TTRPG stuff to anyone who donates to Power Word Meal, the ongoing charity event I created with the United Nations World Food Program. You could win this, or these, and everyone who donates gets over 200 pages of amazing free TTRPG content, including a new playable species and a one-shot adventure for both Pathfinder or D&D. The link is in the description below, along with a video explaining everything. You can save a life right now and win awesome stuff. Check it out. Light Cleric. Criminally underrated, Light Clerics start with a spell list which give you damage options on par with a sorcerer. Burning Hands, Scorching Ray, Fireball, spectacular. You also get the Light Cantrip, which is whatever, and Warding Flare, which is kind of like Silvery Barbs if it wasn't designed by a psychopath. It gives an enemy's attack disadvantage, and you can use it a few times per day to protect yourself or an ally. Your Channel Divinity got a huge upgrade in the 2024 rules, turning it into a 30-foot AoE that deals damage equal to 2d10 plus your cleric's level on a failed con save, or half as much on a success. If just casting Fireball wasn't enough in terms of damage options, this one's pretty tasty, and it dispels magical darkness, which can come up. Improved Flare at 6th level now lets you use your Warding Flare way more times per day, and it even buffs the target that you protect with it with some temporary hit points. Finally, at level 17, you get the feature which demonetized my video during COVID, Corona of Light. As an action, you can emit bright sunlight in a 60-foot radius for 1 minute. Enemies in bright light then have disadvantage on saving throws against any spells you cast that deal radiant or fire damage. damage. Be it a firestorm or a fireball, that is some nice, reliable damage, and we're all just waiting on some WotC intern to accidentally make a spell that deals a little bit of radiant damage and stuns a creature on a failed save to break this feature completely. All in, light clerics get some fun, splashy, area of effect damage on a class that excels at basically everything else anyway. Very solid, low A tier. Nature Cleric. If you're a cleric, but also low-key a Disney princess, this is a fantastic choice. You get proficiency in heavy armor and a reasonable spell list with some animal-friendly spells, plus spike growth. Arguably the strongest spell in the game, I am not joking. You also get a single druid cantrip, which is completely unfair because the Arcana Cleric got 2 wizard cantrips, but still, there are some good druid ones. Shillelagh is a nice option if you want to beat enemies to death with a stick like the nun in the Blues Brothers. You also get proficiency in animal handling, nature, or survival, which are all pretty decent skills. Your Channel Divinity lets you mass charm beasts and plants, which is potentially very powerful in the early game where wolves and bears are the biggest threats you'll find. Even in the late game though, this is okay as a way of maybe making friends with local critters to find information. At level 6, you can use an action to grant yourself or an ally resistance to acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage against a single instance of taking it. This is fine because it has no resource cost. You can do it every round until the cows come home, and most of the big damaging elemental effects are from a single instance, like a dragon's breath weapon. Basically, don't be put off because it only gives resistance to a single instance of damage and not until the end of turn. It's honestly fine. Level 17 is a beautifully flavorful feature that lets you command any plants or animals to do your bidding as a bonus action each turn. Sadly, at this level, any animal you've charmed will instantly die if you try to send it into battle, unless you've purposefully bred like 1,000 rats and intend to swarm enemies and destroy them with action economy. Funny in theory, but probably impractical. Unless you can charm a high-level plant like a tree ant, this is probably a flavor over function subclass feature. Although this is a personal favorite of mine because I love animals, it is very low B tier in terms of power. The spike growth spell is straight up busted in many types of party dynamics, and it's carrying this entire subclass quite hard. Order Cleric. Definitely the funniest cleric subclass in terms of what it lets you do. Order Clerics start off with heavy armor proficiency, a decent spell list, and proficiency in intimidation or persuasion, 2 great skills. The big boy starting feature is Voice of Authority. Whenever you cast a first level or higher spell that targets an ally, that ally can use their reaction to make a single weapon attack. This doesn't sound crazy until you realize it can let the rogue sneak attack twice per round. Doubling the damage output of the spikiest damage dealers in the game is fantastic, and there are many great spells you can use to trigger this. Obviously, you can just healing word your rogue as a bonus action to get them to stab someone. But you can also target the rogue with the beneficial side of Silvery Barbs, for example, giving them immediate advantage on their attack so they can trigger the sneak. Or, the funniest option, cast Magic Missile targeting the enemy with 2 of your 3 missiles and your rogue with the final 1. Sure, they'll take 1d4 plus 1 damage, but the moment of jamming a rocket up your friend's ass to force them to extra attack is more than worth it. You can get either of those spells via the Magic Initiate Origin feat, making it a fantastic Origin feat on this cleric subclass specifically. Your Channel Divinity lets you attempt a mass mind control effect as an action. All creatures within 30 feet of you must make a wisdom save or be charmed by you and drop whatever they're holding. That second part is incredible, robbing enemy mages of their spellcasting focus and warriors of their weapons and shields. You can render an enemy totally useless if you use this and then have a familiar or an ally swoop in and run off with their weapon. Level 6, you can cast enchantment spells with a casting time of 1 action as a bonus action instead. This opens up your main action to just attack, or better yet, use your Channel Divinity. Dominate person, hold person, there is a bunch of great enchantment spells you can throw out with this. Finally, at level 17, when you use your Divine Strike to damage a creature, that's your level 8 feature to add extra damage on your weapon attacks, you can curse the target as well. The next time an ally hits that target, the target takes an additional 2d8 psychic damage. Okay, not a spectacular closer of an ability, but the rest of this subclass is brilliant. It ranges from solid to broken depending on the builds the rest of the players are running at the table. Solid A tier for sure. Peace Cleric. You know a subclass is silly when the RPG bot analysis opens with the words, ban this domain. Spell list is whatever, sure, and you get proficiency in one of these skills, great. The important part is you start with Emboldening Bond. As an action, you target a number of creatures equal to your proficiency bonus and magically bond them together for 10 minutes. While the bonded creatures are within 30 feet of each other, they can add 1d4 to their first attack roll, ability check, or saving throw every single turn. You can use this feature a number of times per day equal to your proficiency bonus, and it doesn't require concentration, which means you can stack it with Bless. Bless adds another 1d4 to multiple targets, saving throws, and attack rolls. Taken together, the Peace Cleric is adding an average of +5 on your allies' attack rolls and saving throws. This fundamentally breaks the maths of the game, and it comes online at level 1 in the 2014 rules. What's even worse is that this is tied to your proficiency bonus, so even if you only take 1 level in Peace Cleric and take the rest of the game in Wizard, this feature will still get more powerful. No joke, it is potentially the highest power for the least investment of any first level subclass feature in the game. Your Peace Cleric Channel Divinity is also interesting. You can use an action to move up to your movement speed without provoking opportunity attacks. When you do this, any creatures of your choice that you move within 5 feet of regain 2d6 plus your wisdom modifier HP. This is some nice healing, plus an emergency escape option, plus a way to reposition yourself to make the most of your Emboldening Bond. Level 6 and your Emboldening Bond gets even better. Now allies who are bonded together can teleport next to a creature when that creature takes damage and take the damage instead of them. This can allow barbarians to tank damage for wizards even if they're 30 feet away, and it makes landing damage on squishy spellcasters incredibly difficult for enemies. Finally, at level 17, the range of your bond increases to 60 feet, and now anytime a creature teleports in to take damage for an ally, they have resistance to that damage. You can bond the entire party together at this level, so between all of you, you're probably reducing basically all damage anyone would be taking by half. The Peace Cleric is basically all in on the Emboldening Bond feature, and it does everything you could ever want from a support feature. It lets allies bypass damage altogether, resist damage, hit more often, boost their saving throws, the whole shebang. The power of this subclass is what keeps every other cleric from reaching the top spot. This is S tier. Tempest Cleric. Tempest Clerics are very popular, and it's kind of easy to see why. Nice mix of damage and utility spells, proficiency with martial weapons and heavy armor, and whenever a creature hits you with a melee weapon attack, you can slap them for 2d8 damage as a reaction. But the iconic feature is your Channel Divinity Destructive Wrath. Whenever you roll lightning or thunder damage, you can use this Channel Divinity to forego rolling altogether and just get the maximum instead. Unfortunately, clerics don't get the really powerful thunder and lightning spells, so your best option here is probably to upcast Shatter and guarantee maximum damage for when you need to take care of a big group of enemies. It's a good feature, but probably overrated because it's so flashy. What's underrated is your 6th level feature, Thunderous Strike. Anytime you deal lightning damage to a large or smaller creature, you can push them 10 feet. Obviously, this is fine when you drop a bolt with Call Lightning, but it's really powerful when you pick up a feat or multi-class feature that lets you add lightning damage on every single attack. An Elements Monk multiclass, for example, can use this feature along with their own subclass features to push an enemy 20 feet away on every attack they make at no resource cost. Finally, you get Stormborn at level 17, giving you a fly speed equal to your walking speed when you aren't indoors. This one didn't really age very well, especially seeing as WotC give a full fly speed to basically every other subclass they make these days. Sure, being able to fly in heavy armor is nice, but the outdoors thing is really annoying. All in, Tempest Clerics are flashy and explosive and very fun, but nothing too wild in terms of power. They are solid B tier. Trickery Cleric. Trickery Clerics get one of the best cleric spell lists in the game, with Hypnotic Pattern being like top 5 in the entire of D&D. You can also use an action to give any creature advantage on stealth checks, which is essentially going to negate the disadvantage you probably have as a result of wearing medium armor. But the big feature is your Channel Divinity Invoke Duplicity, letting you go full on Loki and conjure a perfect visual illusion of yourself as a bonus action. You can then cast spells as though you were in the space of your illusion. You have advantage on attack rolls against creatures both you and your illusion are next to, and you can move the illusion around as a bonus action. From level 6, you can also teleport to your illusion's space, swapping places with it anytime you move it as a bonus action. This essentially makes it impossible for enemies to tell which version of you is the real you, and they will hopefully waste their time attacking the illusion. At level 17, your illusion gets a little better again. It now gives all creatures advantage on all attack rolls against targets within 5 feet of it, and when it ends, you regain some hit points. Honestly, the capstone is a little bit underwhelming, but the rest of this subclass is awesome. Like any illusion-based magic in this game, it relies on the DM playing along for you to get the most out of it, but a bad DM can ruin any subclass, so I'm not going to punish this subclass for that. Honestly, seriously, Hypnotic Pattern is a busted spell. Trickery Clerics are A tier. Twilight Cleric. You know that kid in school who would just make up powers when you were playing so they were always better than everyone else? This is that subclass. Oh, you have 30 feet of dark vision? Well, I'm a Twilight Cleric, so I have 300 feet of dark vision. Oh, you get a D4 bonus to initiative rolls? Well, I have advantage on initiative rolls. Oh, you can heal someone as a bonus action. Well, I heal everyone for free at the end of their turns with my Twilight Sanctuary. Seriously, your Channel Divinity is wild, acting as a 30-foot aura that gives 1d8 plus your cleric level temporary hit points to any ally who ends its turn within it. Oh, or it could just end the charmed or frightened condition affecting them instead. This is an unbelievable level of group tanking power, and you even get a pretty great spell list, with Fairy Fire and Sleep being some nice early game options. Also, do you remember that level 17 Tempest Cleric ability that gave you a flying speed sometimes? Well, Twilight Clerics get a flying speed at level 6. It lasts for 1 minute, and they can just turn it on anytime they enter an area of dim light or darkness. Your level 17 feature simply gives all allies within your 30-foot Twilight Sanctuary aura +2 AC, granting them half cover. We are supposed to act like all religions are equal, but seriously, whoever these guys are praying to have my vote as the best god in the business. You even get proficiency with martial weapons and heavy armor at level 1. Easy S tier. War Cleric. Edgy Clerics number 3, Murder Priests get a pretty decent spell list and the ability to make a bonus action weapon attack or unarmed strike a number of times per short or long rest. Seeing as a single combat encounter rarely lasts more than 3 to 4 rounds in D&D, this should be a bonus action attack on every turn you make for most of the game. Pretty good. Your Channel Divinity lets you add +10 onto an attack roll you make that misses, which isn't bad. You can also add +10 to an ally's attack roll, but it will cost your reaction. Level 6 is really interesting. You can drop a Channel Divinity to cast Shield of Faith or Spiritual Weapon without a spell slot and without concentration. The spell lasts for 1 minute or until you cast it again. Now, Spiritual Weapon is a solid spell, letting you use your bonus action to hit for 1d8 plus your Wisdom modifier damage from range with a floating spectral weapon. The only issue is you can't upcast it to deal more damage with this feature because you don't cast it with a spell slot at all, and you already have a weapon attack as a bonus action every turn anyway. That leaves Shield of Faith as the better option for you, which is funny because in a vacuum it is probably the worst spell, and it just gives you +2 to your AC. But throw on a shield and heavy armor, and you're standing at a handsome 22 AC without concentration before you add on any magic items or fancy combos. Finally, at level 17, you get a simple resistance to bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing damage. War Clerics are a very nice, beginner-friendly subclass. Your features let you make a couple of attacks each turn, and you tank pretty well, and you are still a full spellcasting cleric if you want to heal. If you look at War Clerics as a counterpart to other spellcasting martial subclasses like the Blade Singer or the Valabard, sure, they might be a little bit weaker because you don't get extra attack plus cantrip, but you are still a very respectable subclass. All in, Murder Clerics are B tier. But if that's still not enough cleric subclasses subclasses for you, I made one too, called the Darkness Cleric. It's all about making use of magical darkness and buffing your allies to see through the shadows that you conjure. It is a beautiful support cleric that really focuses on team synergy with some tasty tanking powers to boot. I've added it as a bonus for all Patreon and YouTube membership supporters who sign up within the next couple of months. Your support is what makes these videos possible, and it's the reason I can give half the YouTube ad revenue this channel makes to charity. So if you join up and support within the next few months, you don't only get all the other awesome rewards, you get a bonus subclass as well. Link is down below so you can check out all the great stuff on offer. Remember to like and subscribe, check out other videos on the channel, and yeah, that's all I've got. I'll see you next time.